Gentlemen, here we are, another video as I hope to promise, or promised. Oof, that sentence did not make any sense at all, but that's okay. When do I ever really make sense if we think about it that much? Not very often. So, as I mentioned earlier, the cocktail for this week is one that's my own creation. It's not a crazy make them up or anything. It's just a slight tweak to a drink I already really like a lot. And I'm taking credit for it because that's how things work, right? So we'll get started with that. It's going to be a quick and easy drink, which is one thing I like a lot about it. I like quick and easy drinks. I like my drinks like I like my women. Quick and easy. Hey, hey. Dumb. That was a dumb joke. I don't like that joke anymore. All right, gentlemen. Well, let's get started. I got some questions to answer and a drink to make. So, the drink this week is called John's Scaffa. I believe that's how the word is pronounced. Scaffa. I think it's Italian. A Scaffa is a cocktail that is not mixed at all with ice or anything. It's not diluted or chilled. It's just poured into a glass, mix and drink. If you feel like mixing, you can just pour it. Some Scaffas are like layered, you know. You might see a drink like that. This one's not. So this is a tweak on a drink that I actually made last year. I think it was the last end of the season cocktail I made called Open and Shut, which was just Amaro, Lucano, and cognac. And it's a nice nightcap that I really like. It's kind of a milder, instead of getting like a balloon glass of just straight cognac, it's kind of a milder, gentler way to drink something like that. And it's very enjoyable. But lately I've gotten in the habit of swapping out a little bit Benedictine in place of some of the Amaro. And I like it a lot. I think it changes it just a little bit. It gives it a more herbal flavoring, and it's delicious. So I will have the ingredients on my shoulder as I make the drink, and then we will answer some questions. Because of how quick and easy this is, I'm just going to make this drink real quickly and then enjoy it while I answer the questions. So the first thing is the cognac or brandy, whatever brandy you have will work fine. It's a half ounce of that. Not very much, just a little bit. Kind of gives it a little extra punch. Since the Amaro isn't full strength generally. And then it's 3/4 of an ounce Benedictine. That's the thing I like about this cocktail, the way I've done it, is it's stepped, like the ingredients. It's half, 3/4, 1. So the next ingredient will be 1 ounce of Amaro. Lucano is what I use. It's a milder, more gentle Amaro. But whatever Amaro you have, Cynar or Campari, Braulio, any of that stuff, just keep in mind if you're using like a Campari or a Braulio with how bitter they can be. Maybe you do 3/4 of an ounce Amaro and as well as the Benedictine instead of upping it. Maybe you don't mind, play around with it. You'll find how you like it. So, but I like that because it's just a real quick one. Half, 3/4, 1. And if you doubled it, it's 1, 1.5, 2. So nice and easy steps for these cocktails. It's particularly good with a nightcap if you've already had a couple of drinks. And then garnish it with a lemon or an orange twist. I like lemon twists particularly because when I use the Amaro Lucano or a Cynar, one of those more gentle ones, Amaros, you can run the risk with the Benedictine of it getting a little too sweet. So it's, an orange peel might add to that, whereas a lemon peel will give you a little bit of juxtaposition. And then you swirl a little bit to give it a little bit of a mix, and that's it. The Scaffa. I think I might have explained this with the open and shut cocktail. I believe like it technically means like cupboard or something, and the idea is like a drink like this where you don't really put a lot of, you don't mix it or shake it over ice or, you know, dilute it in any way like that or put it in a chilled glass or any of that stuff. It's, you know, the idea is like, oh, what have I got in the cupboard? Oh, I've got some brandy and tomorrow. I can make a cocktail out of that, you know. I'll just pour it all together and enjoy. Great nightcap. One of my favorite, John Scaffa. All right, let's answer some questions now that I've got my Scaffa in hand. So Brian wants to know, who is the biggest disappointment in Liquored Up this year? I mean, Nick? Is it safe to say Nick, maybe? You know? Didn't even make the playoffs. I mean, he's probably going to trounce best of the rest, which is the position I had hoped to be in after I traded away players for draft picks earlier this year. But you know what? I'm in the playoffs. Silly me. I mean, maybe it's one of those things where, like, you know, Nick's like the Yankees, where, like, they don't make the, you know, a Yankees fan is like, it's a disappointment if we don't win the World Series every year. Like, maybe that's the kind of feeling where, like, Nick had a year that was okay, that was fine, but he didn't really do much and didn't make the playoffs. And so it's like, I don't know, you had higher expectations. But I think a lot of, like, I don't know if everybody had Mark pinned as like the best, gonna be the best in the league when we started earlier this year after the draft and stuff. But I think everyone had Pat up there, and I think after the draft, a lot of people were really high on Peter, even though he's not in it anymore. And BK, I think you know, the people who were in the playoffs or did very well during the regular season were people that I from all accounts, I think people kind of expected them to do well. So. And vice versa, I don't think there's a large amount of people who like did terrible and people were like, I really thought they were going to do better, you know? So, I don't know, I guess maybe somewhere between Creed and Nick would be the biggest disappointments, I would have to say. Yeah. So, not me. I am overachieving like a motherfucker this year. Same with my NFL league, too. I don't know what's gotten into my teams, but shoot for the stars, gentlemen. And then Brian also wants to know, if I were the commissioner of the Big Ten, how would I handle the Harbaugh situation? I can't even, like, pretend to, I can't even pretend to understand how the whole situation is. Like, he's I don't know, did he break laws, I suppose, I guess? I mean, I think it's shitty what he did and weird, and like it's so absurd the lengths that coaches are going to in college sports. It just kind of helps illustrate the non-amateur status or whatever of the sport. Like it's professionals essentially. Like it's not this isn't like it used to be, I don't think. Well, maybe it's always been like this, I don't know. Anyway, I don't kick him out, fire him if I were the Big Ten commissioner. I mean, all they care about is keeping the money rolling in, so I don't think it's gonna make a big deal either way. And then I guess Nick also said that Brian wants to know who's in play for Shoho, which I assume he meant Shohei Ohtani. It's San Francisco Giants or the Dodgers, LA Dodgers. I think those are the top two teams that would be vying for his services. The Dodgers, I think, have been planning this for like more than a season or two. Like they've been planning to unload the big dollars when he was a free agent. But they also are like really ahead of the game in terms of how they use technology and a lot of their theory in terms of how they like teach a lot of their younger players and train a lot of their younger players. They're really on the kind of cutting edge of a lot of that stuff philosophically and stuff, which is something that Ohtani really values, is people who are kind of, in the forefront of all that, using what's available to make their players better and stuff. And the Dodgers are and always have been that way, or not always, but at least the last, I don't know, 8 seasons or something. That's why they always seem to get random pitchers out of nowhere coming up from the minors and being really good and winning 100 games every season and stuff. It's a good organization, and they have the money. And then the Giants are also going to have the money. I mean, they haven't really spent a lot of money in a while, but they've tried. Like they were really pushing hard to try and get Aaron Judge last year. They almost had Carlos Correa. I mean, they technically did. They finished second in Bryce Harper a few years ago when he was a free agent. Like they were really trying to push for him. Like they're not afraid to go after a player if they really want him. And I think they're in a big situation now with ticket sales and stuff where they need to make put a reason out there for people to come to games and stuff. And so I think that, and the fact that Shohei is a generational talent, even beyond that, arguably, they want him in that stadium. They want him to play there. So I think it'll come down between those two, with both New York teams thrown in there, the Cubs, the Mariners. Those are some teams that I think will be really pushing hard for it, but I think it'll come down to the San Francisco or the Dodgers. So, and then a while ago, because I didn't make a video last week because of all the just chaos going on around here, but Brooks asked me if I would get into the whole managerial situation with the Cubs and the shocking, some might say, heel turn of the organization by firing David Ross to bring in Craig Counsell. And I keep reading all these reports, especially from Cubs writers and stuff, about the bold move by Jed Hoyer to go get the guy he really thinks can make a difference, and all this, and comparing it to when they fired Rick Renteria after one season when they had the opportunity to get Joe Madden as their manager, which I think is a totally different situation. And that was kind of a shitty thing to do, but I don't know. I'm not a huge fan. I think David Ross is actually a pretty good manager. I think he's probably in the upper half of he's probably one of the top 15 managers in the league out of 30. So it seems weird that they would give, I don't know. For somebody who meant so much to the organization, I think you're putting your name out in a bad way as an organization if you're going to continue doing things like that, especially when from the top down it's really preached as we're a family and this is a great organization with you'll be a part of forever, and your name is important. I don't know, they really try to push a big bonding kind of we're more than just a baseball team attitude when they try to get players to come and all this stuff, but then the organization itself doesn't act very familial like that. So I don't know. I'm not a huge fan. I do think Craig Counsell is maybe the best manager in the game, but how much better he is than David Ross, who also is probably only going to keep getting better. When you compare that to what they might have lost in terms of just reputation and that kind of stuff. I don't know. I'm not sure about it. We'll see how it plays out. Obviously win a World Series and Craig Counsell's the greatest and Jed Hoyer's the greatest and everyone loves everybody, but it's a risk, and I don't know how big of a fan I am of it. So it is nice to stick it to the Brewers though. Fuck the Brewers. So all right, gentlemen, I think that's all my questions. So hopefully this isn't the last week that I'll be giving a shit about my college fantasy team. But if it is, it's been a good one, a shocking one. It would be fun to win this week and see. I can't help but think that it would be pretty awesome if I could get further in the playoffs or even beat Pat when I know that I have his first round pick next year already. That's just really insult to injury or something, That'd be pretty funny. So we'll see what happens. Gentlemen, cheers. Enjoy your cocktails. Enjoy John's Scaffa. Feel free to make your own twists on it and your own takes and have your own Scaffa to talk about. And until next time, enjoy your drinks. What did I used to say? Get drunk, stay drunk. There you go.